We are at the doorstep of a new era of football.
Both on and off the field after the Jaguars presentation on Thursday, which you know had a little Urban Meyer motivation behind the new Performance Center. We'll be curious to see if they get construction started on this thing sooner or later. Rendering season, a tradition unlike any other. Welcome into Action Sports Jax Primetime. I'm Stuart Weber, and after another slideshow inside TIAA Bank Field, I certainly understand the frustrations of Jags fans or just plain residents of Jacksonville. The Shipyards remain as bare as ever. But before we delve into the rendering talk, let's talk a little football, shall we? The Jags continuing their off-season training activities this week on the current practice complex. They'll have one more week of OTAs with some availability on Tuesday, then the mandatory minicamp the following week on 3 straight days. Coach Meyer has been pretty candid with his thoughts on the roster and some of the players that he wants to see excel this fall. That includes DJ Chark, a guy Urban wants to see step it up, and a player who is noticing an off-season overhaul at the bank.
Still building. We have a long ways to go, but you definitely can see the attention to detail that everyone on the team has. Definitely on the offense, we're all speaking the same language. We know where we're supposed to be, where we're supposed to be there. Everybody's up in their game this year. The competition is great. The camaraderie, the teamwork is good. There's a lot of support going on, and that's credit to the staff as well.
It gives all of us a lot of opportunity to learn the offense more instead of just being virtual and having to do it yourself. But yeah, it's getting to work with the quarterbacks and the new guys coming in. It helps all of us, because if you're just doing it on your own, you're not really getting the work that you need. And there's certain points that the coaching points that we need to know.
First real offseason for rookies from last year like James Robinson. I can guarantee it isn't just the players who are excited about returning to a more normal feel in practice. Coach Meyer was in a TV studio for the 2020 season, so he didn't have to deal with a year full of Zoom calls. Now with NFL protocols changing slowly, things are starting to feel a little more conducive to the kind of environment that Urban wants to create in that Jags locker room.
We're actually in team meetings now. We keep our distance from each other, but a team meeting is so much better than the Zoom. And I heard, I wasn't coaching last year, but the horror stories about videos, not being able to show videos, the technology wasn't great. So having them here in person have been fantastic.
He's very energetic at practice and the meetings, talking about what we are trying to accomplish this season. He ain't a dead ass, we're going to win some games. He's very energetic. He wants to win. And we all want to win, and we feeding off of that. We feeding off his energy, and that's what I love about Urban.
How about some notes from that Thursday OTA, including a newcomer and wide receiver return man Pharaoh Cooper. He was an all-pro special teamer with the Rams back in 2017. Speaking of special teams, welcome back to Jacksonville. Nick Sorensen, officially named the new special teams coordinator. He spent 4 years wearing the black and teal as a player back in the aughts. The 00s, however you want to call it. And 2 players missing on Thursday, Gardner Minshew, Andrew Norwell. Urban Meyer said with a light day for veterans, that was anticipated. Said it was cool. Both should be back on Monday. All right, let's get back to renderings. And do you remember this one from a few years back? Now keep in mind, Everbank Field at the time was never supposed to get this roof. This was just an idea of what the future could look like for the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. So the question is, how far in the future? It was certainly a topic this week. In addition to a new practice complex and hoping for 4 seasons at the Shipyards, the topic of major stadium renovations was broached, including the idea of covered seating. Just think, the way the Dolphins have upgraded Joe Robbie Stadium, that same sort of idea. Definitely big news to learn that a complete tear down and build up of a new stadium was not recommended for the Jags. Now, how quickly can they make the improvements necessary to get the bank in line with the rest of the NFL? We shall see. It starts with the smaller projects, and then we'll cross that big stadium bridge a little bit later on.
We need to be the catalyst. We need to be the spark to have a change, and it's to make a difference for Jacksonville, but also really what do we have to do to win games and make the city proud.
We've had a lot of conversations over the course of the past few months. At the end of the day, I think this project makes a significant amount of sense for the city of Jacksonville, for a number of reasons.
I think this proposal is visionary. It's something that, Urban talked about, a commitment to excellence. He believes that this will demonstrate a commitment to excellence to the players, not just as football players, but as human beings and individuals getting the best care and treatment. We're just going to have to work through this proposal and work with City Council.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the thoughts on Twitter. Always entertaining. Both Sandler and Stiller say, do it. Do it. We'll see if they actually do it. Dan, I love rendering season. We all love rendering season. How about this one? All for it, but I feel like it's time to start digging. We hear this every offseason. I'm not confident that City Council will be a willing participant after Lot J failed. Remember, they needed 13 votes out of 19 to get Lot J to pass. Only got 12, so they were off by 1. Ben Becker on Thursday saying a council member tells him they believe there's 15 votes right now for this one. So we'll see what happens with that. And how about one more from Vaughn? In my opinion, it looks like the Jaguars, if the Jaguars announce they're making moves, folks seem to complain. If they do nothing, folks complain. At what point will our fans just live in the moment and be encouraged by what's in front of them? Signed, fan from day one. So there's a few of the different perspectives we saw on social media. We love it when the folks hop onto social media and interact with us. Go ahead and tell us your opinions, good, bad. Heck, we love to hear it all. Different perspectives are a beautiful thing, folks. Just don't be too nasty, right? There's too much of that already on the internet. So be nice, make a solid point, and we'll enjoy talking about it a little later on. Go follow Action Sports Jax on your favorite social media platform.
Strike and compress the bag.
Every new coach will bring some different things to the way they approach practice. That's no different for Urban Meyer. A loudspeaker counting down to different sessions and providing motivation at times for the entire team to hear. Just one of the new things to see at Jaguars practice. We continue the Jaguars conversation by bringing in Ashlyn Sullivan from Jaguars.com for yet another edition of Cover 3. And we're talking OTAs because, well, that's what we're able to go see. We've been able to get out to the practice fields a couple times here in the last couple weeks. So let's start with OTAs. And who on the Jaguars has really piqued your interest? Perhaps a tight end? Maybe not that one.
Yes, it's not the tight end that everyone's thinking about. I am going Chris Manhertz, who was brought in here during the free agency class. And this is a guy that we at least thought was coming in here to really be a part of the blocking game. But Chris Manhertz and the OTA that we watched caught 2 touchdowns in the red zone between multiple defenders both times. And Coach Meyer in his press conference said this is a guy that we see as a pass-catching tight end as well as a blocking tight end. So I think you're going to get a lot of versatility with this guy and definitely have my eye on him after that one OTA.
I'm going to go with the other side of the ball for my option, and I'll go with a guy named Shaquille. Not Shaquille Quarterman, our local linebacker, rather Shaquille Griffin, the offseason signing who is in at cornerback. And really, you talk about a position that has seen that upgrade at the cornerback position, and you just talk about that position group with a guy like Shaquille Griffin coming in from Seattle. He comes with that experience. He comes as that big name signing in the offseason and the guy who got that paycheck in the offseason from the Jaguars. And so far in OTAs, he's been all over the wide receivers just about every chance he's had. So I'm going to go with Shaquille Griffin as my guy to go with. All right, let's move on to our second topic. And for that topic, it's the biggest takeaway from these off-season practices so far in OTAs. And for me, well, here's the thing. Every team looks good in June. That's just the way it is. Every team is undefeated. Every team is full of optimism. You've got new players. You've got draft picks. So there's really so hard to get any sort of feel for a team in the OTAs, especially when you're just flying around in shirts and shorts and not wearing pads and not hitting each other, not doing full 11 on 11. So I'm just going to say this. Every team looks really good in June. That includes the Jacksonville Jaguars.
There we go. Optimism. I love it. And I do believe in that. It's football in pajamas, like we like to say. But I will say the biggest difference that I've noticed is how hands-on this coaching staff is. In the practices that we have watched, there is 0 time wasted. So much so that water breaks are timed. And Coach Myers, in between drills, and we joked about how close he was to Trevor Lawrence at his pro day. I was watching a drill where he was directly on the line of scrimmage in the middle of the drill. This is an incredibly hands-on coach and expects a lot of his coaching staff. So yes, it is June. It is football in pajamas, but I have been very impressed with how much the time has been used wisely so far this month.
Yeah, you talk about some of those college things that maybe carry over into the NFL for this coaching staff. That is certainly one of them. Speaking of, Urban Meyer makes the cameo on All Elite Wrestling this past week at their pay-per-view, and what a cameo it was. He lost a laptop in that affair. So let's bring up our final topic here on Cover 3. Who's next from the Jacksonville Jaguars to make an appearance on AEW?
I gotta go. This is tough because I really feel like you could go with maybe a lot of the offensive line room, except AJ Cann. He would not do well in wrestling. I think you just look at Andrew Norwell, and he gives me big Undertaker vibes. If you're going back to WWE days, he's just a scary dude. I think he could just stand in there, look intimidating, and get the job done.
Yeah, doesn't talk a lot. I could definitely see that happen. I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to go with the guy who already has a giant character. It's Minshew Mania. Let's bring him in there. Let's get the mullet flowing inside the squared circle. Let's get the mania rocking and rolling. Mania is already a big thing when it comes to wrestling. The mustache, the short shorts. I mean, he's got everything you need for that main character. Heck, give him a 4x4. He can go in there like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. It would be terrific. I'm going with Minshew Mania as my Jaguar who could end up in AEW. Maybe that's the trade they make this offseason. Who knows? We'll find out down the road. Ashlyn Sullivan, thank you again so much for joining us here on Cover 3.
Thanks for having me.
Jaguars.com, where you go for all your Jaguars needs. That's our official partner. Go check them out.
Action Sports Jax Primetime, Saturday at 10:30 on Fox 30.